Hello everyone. Our topic today is about discourse and the law. It's represented by Amal Abu Shanab, supervised by Dr. Akram Habib. About the context, I'm going to talk about equality before the law, disadvantage in court, speech acts in courts, forensic linguistics, identical utterances, and lexical density. Equality before the law. The principle of equality before the law is proclaimed in numerous institutional documents throughout the world, both national and international. It's a principle against which few wish to argue, but its implications are not as clear as they might at first appear. Poor and rich. Before the law, a standard fine for a given offense seems fair and equal treatment, but for a rich person, the payment of such fine is trivial, whereas for a poor person, it could mean serious sacrifice. Disadvantage in court. I'm going to talk about children, interpretations and misunderstandings, sociocultural variation, and women victims. About children. Children of all ages are required to give evidence in trials, and they are often at a grave disadvantage. This is a problem in the case of children who are the victims of crimes. In many instances, children now are allowed to give evidence via a video link rather than in a full court hearing. This is a great improvement that removes the mismatch between lawyers and a child. Interpretations and misunderstandings. Many people before the law in the American courts were involved in crimes because of a series of misunderstandings. In British lexical items, different semantic scope or even distinctly different meanings. For example, while for until, only for except, borrow for lent, and come for run. A sociocultural variation, according to scholars, typical Aboriginal styles of interaction are profoundly different from those of non-Aboriginal Australian and even further removed from all the discourses of the court. Walsh argues that all conversational style involves different permutations of two dimensions. About sociocultural variation, Edges argues that sociocultural differences are so great that cultural interpreters should be provided for Aboriginal people in court. Also, she mentioned that direct confrontation and tribunal, which are the essence of court processes, are alien to Aboriginal people whose culture values agreement. About women victims in courts, for some years now, there have been complaints of the treatment of rape victims by the police and the courts when the crime goes to trial, because the strategies the police taken may include attempts to cast doubt on her complicity in the event, morals, honesty, and so on. A British Home Office study of rape trials reported that legislation to prevent lawyers from publicly questioning rape victims about their sexual history was not working because the rules were frequently ignored or avoided. Speech acts in court. Court cases frequently centered on whether or not a certain speech act has taken place. If speech acts were explicit performatives, then judicial procedures would be more straightforward, but speech acts in general and criminal speech acts in particular are usually less direct. Forensic linguistics. In presenting a case, lawyers are permitted to bring scientific experts to testify. There is a long history of medical and other scientific specialists playing important roles in court cases. In recent years, there has been an increase in the part played by linguists in this area. Forensic linguistics. A large proportion of forensic linguistics has focused on the processing of indistinct tape recordings. As previous researchers have mentioned that linguistic analysis can sometimes be decisive at a basic level. Identical utterances. Computational analysis of texts has shown that people do not reproduce identical wording. We all think that we can remember exactly what was said in a past interaction, and indeed, until recently, court cases have tended to proceed on this assumption, but it's false. Characteristics, features of police written report. Most police written reports use then and they concern for accurate identification of objects. English courts now requires recordings as well as transcripts because of these characteristics. Lexical density. This is a quantifiable measure which has been shown to differ significantly across different registers. Originally devised as a means for investigating what constitutes register variation, it can be useful in distinguishing a written composition from an authentic transcript of spoken discourse. In terms of word classes, we have the lexical words like nouns, lexical verbs, and we have the grammatical words like pronouns, prepositions, conjunctions. Written language tends to have a higher proportion of lexical words to total text than spontaneous spoken language has. I hope that you have enjoyed. With my regards, Amal Abu Shanab.